All right, my friends, we're going to look at a quick video on how Americans spend their money. I find this to be incredibly informative. I'm not going to show you my mug because I have yet to shower today, so my hair is all a mess, and I haven't shaved, and I've still got my T-shirt on. Not looking very professional. I know you come to Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel because it is the most professional financial planning channel out there. Professionalism is all we do here. But I still want to share this info with you as well. So this is, man, I love this stuff. If I may, retirement planning is based, the number one thing in retirement planning isn't income, it's expenditures. Expenditures drives everything. So if we get a handle on spending, thus we can figure out how to make the spending happen with income. If we don't have a handle on spending, everything else is, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. There's just no other way around it. You've got to get an idea of spending. And that's where the focus should be, is spending. What do average people spend, generally speaking, even before they retire, but certainly when they retire. So I forgot the guy's name, but my man sent me this howmuch.net. And I'm going to use this real quick to show you the median spending, and I'm going to show you another one as well because this is average, but we're going to go average, and then I'm going to show you median and show you the difference. All right, see how your spending compares to the average Joe's. Let me see. I don't know if I can make it bigger, right? Excuse me. Only 1 out of 3 Americans actually knows what the monthly budget is. Why is this important? I cannot stress that enough. Everyone knows what their 401k does. They know if they do fantasy football, what Drew Brees did. They don't know how much they have spending. And everyone does retirement planning saying, I think my income, I need 80% replacement income, and I should need $80,000 a year, and I have $1 million in my 401k, so I should be okay. Man, stop. That's not enough. That's not enough. How much money do you need? And if you find out it's only $50,000 and you're thinking $80,000, maybe you can quit that crappy old job now and start that novel you've been wanting to write. All right. If you always worry about how making it to the next paycheck, then it's time to sit down and take a hard look at your expenditures. This can help you decide how much you can afford to spend on things you need to have, like housing and healthcare, and on things you want to have, like new clothes. To get an idea of what this looks like, we create a new visualization for the budget of the typical American making about $75,000 per year. And I like this because it's I don't know what they call these things, like the visual. They have word visual things where the bigger the words are used, the bigger the word shows up on the screen. And what you'll see here is housing. 33% is housing. Look at that. 33% is housing. The next biggest one is what? Transportation, 16%. The next biggest one is food, 12%. The next biggest one is insurance and pensions. And finally, down here, we have healthcare. Look at that, number 5. Where have you heard that before? Old Josh. And yet Fidelity and all these studies says you need $286,000 for healthcare. That doesn't consider long-term care. And yet housing by far dwarfs everything. So let's keep going down. And the sources are BLS sources. Interesting. How could that possibly be? Our data comes from the BLS, a federal agency full of smart people. They survey Americans every year to understand how we spend our money. The bureaucrats then group expenditures in categories to track how budgets change over time. What's the big takeaway from this? The BLS calculated an average overall income of about $75,000, which is up significantly over last year, about 7.6. That's awesome, but not everyone had a substantial increase in pay, in large part inequality. Oh, gosh, I can't take it. You're getting paid more doesn't affect my getting paid less, okay? Hey. Now, that could have an effect on the average of 7.6% year over year, but just because Joe down the street got a 5% raise doesn't mean that my raise is any less because of that. More importantly, although incomes are up 7.6%, spending increased only 2.4%. In an economy driven by consumerism, that's a recipe for slow growth. Again, mercantilism, I can't stand it. Determining how much money you spend on specific categories can be a real eye-opener for people. By far and away, the largest expense is housing, which accounts for almost a third of all expenses. This is a big red flag. According to the federal government, wow, the federal government, if you spend more than 30% on your income on housing, then you are at greater risk of being able to unafford other necessities. Americans spend more on housing than they do on healthcare, entertainment, clothing, and other miscellaneous expenses combined. Everyone focuses on this one thing, and yes, this one thing, that's the big deal. So what if you're trying to find ways to trim your own budget? Where should you look? Transportation is the second biggest expense at $9,000 a year. Although it's roughly half the cost of housing, it still comes out to about $755 a month. That category includes a down payment spent on your car, as well as gas, oil changes, repairs. Transportation and housing expenses are so high that they are almost as expensive as everything else you buy. Let me just highlight that. Transportation and housing almost are as expensive as everything else you purchase. So your number 1 and 2 expenditures are those. If you are serious about finding ways to save money, then take a hard look at your home payment and your car note. If you can downsize your home and live closer to work, odds are you will find savings real quickly. Either way, you should definitely find out your budget, stick to it. I want to show you this right here. This is what from the feds, actually, from the HUD, if we can get there. Right here. Families who pay more than 30% of their income for housing are considered cost burdened and may have difficulty affording other necessities. An estimated 12 million renter and homeowner households now pay more than 50% of their annual incomes for housing. Housing, my friends. No one talks about housing. They all talk about this right here, and no one talks about housing. So let's go over to this BLS, all right? And this is from the BLS, Beyond the Numbers, a closer looking at spending patterns of older Americans. This is for retirees. We're going to come on down. This is for 2018. Reissued 2016 to correct the mean and share calculation. Okay, so this is 2018. This is 2014, the CES, the Consumer Expenditure Report. But I have one on here, right? Nope. Bear with me just a second. Is that guy? Nope. Hold on just a second. This is right here. All right. So here's the mean and median income, and this is from New Retirement. It's a great chart here, and this is from the income. All right, and we're just talking about income. Then I'm going to show you expenditures. So the mean and median. Remember, we don't care about the mean. The mean is the average. It doesn't mean anything. It's a median we're looking at. So households aged 65 to 74, their median income is $47,000. We'll just say $4,000 a month, and that's from the Census Bureau. The CPS. And where did we find the CPS is wrong? They're off by 59%. 59%. Let me just show you. Here's the let's go to 59. Click on this. This is a CPS. Oops, hold on just a second. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Even at the median, the gap between the CPS and administrative estimate of retirement income is 59%. The CPS is just, it's silly at this stage. But we'll just use that and say the median income according to CPS is $47,000 for households between 65 and 74. And again, median is half above, half below, 50% on either side. And we know that's wrong because the CPS underreports income from retirement accounts and it underreports income from Social Security so drastically to be silly. But we'll use it. So we'll say the median income is $47,000. We'll just say $4,000 a month. All right, so going back to how much we spend. And again, this is for all people. Housing is 33%. Healthcare is 8.1. Transportation is 15.8. Now let's go back to how much we spend as we're in retirement. So remember, 65 to 74, all right? That was the age according to CPS. Our median income, 65 to 74, was $47,000, half above, half below. That's the income. The expenditures, if we can, here's 65 to 74. Now, this is the CES in 2014, and frankly, I don't know if they have a new one or not. At this stage, don't really care. So we're going to go down, and what is the not pre-tax income? We're going to go down to expenditures right here. $48,000. Imagine that. And what is the biggest contributor to expenditures? Right there, housing. Now, this is it's interesting because this is the average, and we don't care about the average because if we did care about the average, we would use this number right here, which is the mean. 68,000 is the average according to the CPS. All right, but we want to use a median, but still, if we're comparing apples to apples, we'd have to use the average income, $68,000. And then we go back to Here's the average expenditures, $48,000 for 65 to 74. Now, this is from the Consumer Expenditure Survey. The other one's for CPS. At the end of the day, though, we're using what we can use. So let's just say we're using the median income according to CPS or the average expenditures according to the CES, and you're basically even Steven right there. But the big one is still housing. 32% of expenditures is going to housing when you're 65 to 74. Look at that, 32%. Nothing comes close. Transportation is still 17%. Healthcare is a far fourth at 12.2 because you got food is number 3 and healthcare is number 4 at 12.2. I mean, it's nuts. So now if we go to 75 and older, let's see the average income for 75 and older. It's 45,000 in there. The income, yeah, right there, 45,000 for 75 and older. And let's see what the average expenditures are for 75 and older. 36,000. Again, look. So you got 49,000 to 55 and older. 55. Oh, that's all 55 and older. Forget that. We want 56,000 if you're 55 to 64. It goes to 48,000 if you're 65 to 74, and it goes to 36,000. And that's the average. That's not the median if you get 75 and older. Housing, again, 32%, and you're 55 to 64, 32% when you're 65 to 74, 36% when you're over 75. Healthcare, 8.8% of your expenses when you're 55 to 64. You get on Medicare, it goes up to 12.2%. And then it goes to 15.6 when you're over 75, not even half of what housing is, not even close. And you still got transportation is still 13.9 and food's 12%. And even miscellaneous was this other, and other could be the cash contributions to about, so basically your gifting and whatnot. At the end of the day, healthcare, while it does get bigger and bigger as you age, almost doubles, it's still dwarfed by housing without question. And housing, again, considers a mortgage without question. Transportation is also a car loan, gas, and the cost to maintain it as well. And both those things are right neck and neck, or transportation is right neck and neck with healthcare. And you still got food as a representative, significant representative of your expenditures. So using a CPS, which we know for a fact underutilizes income, using the CES, which gives us the expenditures for averages, and usually averages overestimate relative to the median. We know that you're spending basically $3,000 a month here, and we're getting about $4,000 a month in income. And even that, including healthcare, you're still doing just fine. And so I found that to be interesting as well. And your housing is still a significant portion of your overall expenditures. Get rid of your mortgage, my friend. So I'm going to take this real quick. Right here, ready? Here's your, right there. If you have a mortgage, it costs you $1,500 a month. Once you're in retirement, if you don't have a mortgage, it costs you $474 a month in retirement. So thus, get rid of your mortgage. Your healthcare costs will go down. Your your housing costs will go way down. Get rid of your mortgage, and you'll be simply much better off than most people. All right, my friends, don't forget to subscribe down below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks now.